With all due respect, but the man you're talking about was like a brother to my father and an uncle to me. A man of loyalty to our family for over 30 years. If you speak ill of him again, I swear to God...
Enough! Only a fool argues. For the pride of a dead man.
Prison in the States will get you raped. Prison in Indonesia will get you a promotion. This is Spoilers.
Jesus.
It's not as bad as the Roadhouse one. The Roadhouse one was a really aggressive one. Can we admit that?
Loved it.
I feel like we've trotted this ground before, but yeah, sure, go ahead, Steve.
It's a sequel, Josh. How could I not do a sequel of Spoilers?
Hey, Stevie, after what happens in this prison, I think what would happen in American prison is probably a little better.
I don't know. He got a pretty sweet apartment. All I'm saying.
I guess I just meant the 90 people that died.
Oh, well, yeah. Shit happens. This is Stevie, your host tonight or today or whenever you're listening, wherever you're listening. And today we are spoiling the 2014 amazing masterpiece action movie, The Raid 2. I am super excited to talk about this, even though I don't think a lot of people saw this movie in the theater at all. I think it's grown quite a following over time, even though outside of Korey, I think this is everybody's first time watching. Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Corey, you'd seen it?
Oh yeah, I saw this back in my drinking days, and which basically means I had no memory of it. So it was like a fresh rewatch, which is really nice, you know, because it's such a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've seen _dupe_The Raid 2.
Are you implying that like knowing the plot details would somehow ruin this movie experience for you?
Well, if you want to talk about plot, this movie has a great plot compared to the first movie. It really takes The Raid and improves it in a lot of ways, but I'm sure we'll talk about that. Stevie, I didn't mean to step on your toes.
Oh
there.
no, like I'm happy you got. It's like your first time again. That was kind of my experience with Birds of Prey, and I haven't watched the movie since. I just remember really loving it. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever watch that movie again. I just remember leaving the theater being like, "Wow, that was amazing," and that's how I'll leave that movie. But we're gonna go around the table. Let's go from Eastus to Weestus. And say your name, where you're recording from, and if you had to go to prison to be undercover and not serve too long of a sentence, what crime would you commit?
This is Brett from Fort Wayne. Obviously, I get no time like usual.
On the spot, Brett, on the spot.
Ooh, man, it'd have to be a misdemeanor. Oh, I probably would I go to prison for a misdemeanor?
Gotta go to prison.
Oh, man.
You could commit a bunch of misdemeanors.
Yeah. That turns into one felony.
I don't think it works that way.
Does it not?
Combo bonus.
I'd probably invent a computer virus that steals from my work, and then I would just go to white-collar
This is the
prison
same
that has...
answer you gave on Fargo. The exact same one.
No.
White-collar hacking.
Yeah, I made the federal pound me in the ass prison joke.
Yeah, but I'm actually making the Office Space joke now, so it's different.
Look at me. I'm the one making the joke now.
Yeah.
I would do something to not get me to maximum security. Maybe petty larceny or whatever.
What would you do to go to muddy prison?
Probably what the guy did in Return to Paradise. I mean, it's Indonesia, right?
Make it
Oh.
hash.
Yeah, I guess. Might as well.
Yeah, this is Josh from Goshen. I think all you really have to do is go to a foreign country, smoke some mellow hash, man. That's how you get in jail. You don't have to hurt anybody. Don't have to steal anything. You can't. I think they say in Return to Paradise, we couldn't afford not to buy it. So that's a good like pre-jail, right? Or something.
Yeah, a little pre-J.
I love how there's 2 Return to Paradise references so early. That movie that everyone's seen that we did like
that's
2
really,
years ago.
Yeah.
You know, like in Return to Paradise.
Okay, in that movie, Joaquin Phoenix gets hanged for smoking the mellow hash.
This is
So
spoilers.
kind of being tongue-in-cheek here about, that'd be terrible to go to whatever prison that was. Was it Bangladesh? Where was that,
I
Brett?
think it was Indonesia, Malaysia.
So that's why all the references.
Malaysia, but
Yeah.
yeah. It's very, very close.
Yeah, it's a pretty good answer because, like you said, you're not hurting anybody. I guess my first thought went to like what would be fun to do, but also illegal, and I was thinking like steal a cop car and joyride in it, like Grand Theft Auto style.
Skeeter from Varsity Blues?
Super bad.
Yeah, just like that, or like super bad. Maybe get drunk and shoot some bottle cans with the cops or whatever. Like that'd be fun too. But I don't know, like anything kind of in Grand Theft Auto. Like so, get my 5-star warrant up, see how long I could like drive out there for.
I'm guessing if you're gonna get your 5th star, you're probably gonna go for longer than a few months.
You also might die.
Well, there's always another life. You always can restart at the hospital, right? In real life, so that's what
Wasted.
I would do.
I think that's true.
This is Korey, Kylo Ren memes. We've talked about this on a recent podcast. One of the things I would like to do with it, I think would be very fun and exciting, is rob a bank. So that aside, because I've already kind of used that answer recently, like what would be something I'd do? Preferably something like a victimless crime. But
would you steal a DVD?
It's hard to say that any really are. So I don't know, maybe like not wear a mask to the gas station. That'll probably give me 20 years for that, right?
In California, yeah, probably.
Hey, I think I know a good one for you, Kylo. Pretend you're a dentist and give people too much anesthesia and like kill a bunch of people.
Oh.
Why is that good for me?
What? Are you guys having side talks? Well, why is that good?
Yeah. What are you talking about?
I think he's making a joke about my wife being a dental hygienist, but I don't really...
Oh, no way, dude.
Who's a misogynist now, Josh?
Yeah.
No, I would not bring your wife into this. Honestly, no. It was just a weird, bizarre thing that I was trying to pin on you. We can move on.
What?
Stevie, I think you're up, right?
I guess. I really just kind of want to do an episode on why Josh would say that. Really want to delve into that. This is Stevie recording from Elkhart. The crime I would commit, I mean, victimless, I think it would be painstaking for somebody, is I would wait until like a construction crew was doing a giant like concrete job like on Lock, like world record concrete being poured. And then just before it was starting to dry and people are high-fiving like the job is done, I would run across it as fast as humanly possible and run in diagonal and crisscrosses and cross barriers where they had to redo the entire thing. I think that would get me a lot of years.
Okay, you've seen the movie Lock, and you would still do that.
What monster is this?
Yeah, dude, you're crazy. You'd be putting in that C5.
Like, Locke is the monster of that movie. That movie only happens because of he's a monster.
He only did it once, right? Do the accent, please. Come on, man.
Just trying to take the next logical step. I mean, the man made a mistake.
She meant nothing to him.
You could be on the hook for all that money it takes to redo that.
I would go to prison. That's what I just said.
Yeah, but they'd probably just fine you instead.
They might kill me.
No, they do both.
Yeah, that sounds like a prison and a fine. That's why I think if it happened in America, at minimum 5 years in prison and a $5 million fine. But that's just my thoughts on it.
Can please do the accent? We got a Patreon member, I think, just because of the accent one time. Can you do it, Locke? We brought him up. Please.
Which one? The traffic's fine.
Indelible. Let's go.
Thank you.
That's very indelible of you.
Let's get into this movie. Josh, I kind of want to start the night off with you. I know that you're not a fan of violence in film whatsoever. You've gone on to say if most films that I pick are nothing more than torture porn.
Oh, gosh.
He says that about everything.
I know. I think one time you called me a fiend for violence.
What?
Yeah. How do you feel about how would you categorize this movie? Is this movie too over the top for you, or do you think it fits just right?
This movie opens with a man begging for his life.
That's what I'm saying.
And very coldly gets shot with a shotgun in the face, and it's shown. And I would go further and say this is probably a Stevie comfort film. So who's the weird one
100%.
here?
100%.
I will never forget after watching The Gray and how horrifying and intense that movie is. You're like, yeah, man, good comfort movie.
I can watch that movie every day.
In like the last few months, I've seen, not counting movies that have like war in them, like the 3 most violent movies I've ever seen, probably, all within the last few months. And one was The Raid, one was Raid 2, and the other was the other, which is probably the most violent movie I've ever seen without a war, was Suicide Squad.
Oh, that is a good movie.
It is good, but I was talking about it's just so gory.
It is violent, but Josh, do you think like this is too much violence, or do you think it's just right?
Not enough, maybe.
Not enough violence for you.
Zone of violence.
If I'm editing this podcast, I'm editing in George Lucas saying, may have gone a little bit too far in a few places.
I may have gone too far in a few places.
There's probably 3 scenes that I think it gets a little bit exploitive, even more than usual. I don't know, dude. I did have in my notes.
What 3 scenes?
In my notes.
How many faces get blown off?
Several.
At least 3.
At least 3.
It's the best
I've never
part.
ever in my life seen a blow off face like the very end of the movie.
It's so great.
We'll get
It's
there.
amazing.
How many times did you guys exclaim the Lord's name in vain from things that you saw in this movie? I think that's like a good like barometer for the effect this has on you.
I
Like,
audibly shouted Obi-Wan Kenobi at least 4 times.
I was waiting for you to say something like that.
hello there.
I just kept saying the body doesn't work that way, and that would kill you. But yeah, no, I didn't exclaim any
I mean,
Jesuses or anything.
the first time I ever saw this movie, I did a couple of JFCs.
Yes.
A couple at least, especially in the prison when that dude is getting his jaw torn away from his face, like when the police
that's
are
the
running in.
best.
It's gruesomely amazing. It's a fun watch. And then also when Rama and that dude go to Haniori, which is a great hibachi girl in our area.
Dude, that's in my notes.
Yeah, when he took that dude to Haniori and threw him down, I was like, let's go. So yeah, I like violence, and these sometimes are comfort films to me.
A fiend.
The Raid is really good at using its like scenery for violence, right? Like whether
It
it's like
chews it
smashing
up.
someone into like a wine thing, or even just like the way the mud plays in the scene. It's like
Oh,
these
yeah.
little arenas get set up, and it's like always uses the arena to the best of the fight's like ability. It's so great.
There were a couple, I can only think of one offhand, but like a couple violent scenes, like kind of like what you're talking about, where they use things around you that I've never seen before. One that I can remember is towards the end where he puts someone's head through the window and it like goes through the window and hits the semi.
Yes.
Like I've never in my life seen that. It looked so cool.
Stevie, you are a fiend for violence. Is that like
he's
such a
loving
bad
it.
thing to say? Like it's true.
Okay, so here's the difference. I don't like all violent movies, but what I do like are violent movies that have a fantastic attention to detail. For between the camera work, the editing, the CGI, the stunt work it takes to pull these movies off, I really appreciate. So it's more like I love the skill and attention to detail it takes to make these movies, but the movies that these are hyper violent. Does that make sense?
Right. So, like, it's the filmmaking that you're really admiring.
Yes. But if James Cameron had pulled this off, there's not an ounce of blood. It'd be like, oh my God. It just happens that pulling this off includes gallons of blood.
Right. There's plenty of examples of, like, super gory, violent, usually schlocky horror movies that aren't good because there's nothing in the filmmaking to make them good.
Mm-hmm.
But this really does have it all. I have to agree with you, man. This is a fucking great movie.
And I know you tossed it to me off the bat, Stevie, and I appreciate that.
Hey, no pun intended.
Well,
Ooh.
I think
Bat
that like
boy.
I was honestly
boy.
a little bit upset with you for the first 15 minutes that I watched this movie.
Why? Because Andy died?
Well, no, going into the
Oh.
movie, sorry to bust you out, Pap, but Pap said something
Whoa.
like, hey man, I'm busy watching the lesser Raid right now. I'll get back to you later. And then I started the movie and I thought it was like kind of slow to start off with. And I was
It
like,
is.
why are we retrotting these characters? CV's seen so many movies. Why are we doing a sequel right now? That's just where I was at in the first 15, 20 minutes.
Was it because Gareth Edwards really like subverted what could you think that Andy and Rama teaming up at the end, like, okay, brothers reunited. They're going to go, number 2 is announced. They're going to go take names and kick ass. And then Andy dies in the first 5 seconds.
Maybe,
Honestly?
but yes, Pap, are you going to say like the characters it didn't click with you, maybe?
No, well, I think all things considered, I think I do like this one more, especially after watching it twice and kind of getting a better feeling of who everybody is. But this is not the movie's fault at all, but we've made allusions to this. The version that most of us watched is literally titled on Amazon _DUPE _ The Raid 2, and I have no idea what dupe is supposed to be, but
Brett, what does dupe mean?
I looked it up. I couldn't find anything about it.
What does it mean?
I think it's literally just a dub mistype. I think it's supposed to be dubbed. Like
It's a titling error of some
obviously,
sort.
yeah.
It looks like LimeWire circa 2007.
Yeah, it's like HD cam _dupe _ the raid.
Version
like,
6.
When I watched The Raid 1, it was subs, and I'm subs over dubs all
subs
day.
all day.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say, the voice actors, I made an allusion to Grand Theft Auto earlier, but it's like literally like Grand Theft Auto level kind of acting in some of this. Like, follow the damn train level acting. It's
like
just
Nico
not
and
good.
Grand Theft Auto 4.
I don't know if you guys had any problems with the performances.
Like
I thought they
Mortal Kombat
weren't.
4 and cutscene. Like,
It could be nothing. I just thought you'd want to know now. Well, one of us can still take care of a situation like him.
I'll have my men monitor the situation. If he steps out of line, we'll take care of it. Don't worry.
Who says I'm worried, asshole?
With respect.
The respect is mutual.
Well, I mean, I'm really sad to hear you say that, Pap, because if I can watch like a foreign film, I will seek out subs all day. I cannot stand to watch dubbed movies, and I have subtitles even on American English movies, no matter what. So I can't watch film and TV anymore without subtitles. So I am so sorry you had to go through that. I've never seen that version, and I don't ever want to.
Not only that, is it just kind of like I said, just maybe not the best performances in my book, but there's also like some stuff that's lost in translation. Like I didn't realize until I watched it a second time with closed captions, which that's another annoying thing about the Amazon version, are the captions are like significantly different than what the dubs
It's like 80%.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was throwing me off. So the first time I turned them off, when I watched it the second time, I didn't realize there's a big part of the movie is like the different gangster mafias speaking each other's language, right? Like out of like a show of respect or something. Like that's not even like you have no idea in the English dub. Like that's not even like referenced at all. So you're totally missed that part of the movie with it.
He brings it up at the end, but it's like happened already.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like you apologize to him in your language. It's like, oh, he did? It sounded like English to me when I heard it.
Can't believe you can't tell the difference between Indonesian and Japanese.
There are Japanese people in here. That's what I'm talking about.
I can't.
Well, there's three.
Can't believe you can't tell the difference.
How are
I
we going to
can.
tell the difference when it's all in fucking...
I'm just kidding. It's kind of like Return to the 36 Chambers. You guys, I think we all watched it on Netflix, and it was the same thing. It was dubbed, and it like only about half the time it only matched the subtitles from Netflix like half the time.
Can I give you guys a hint of advice?
Please.
Just buy the movie. Just if you guys want subbed
Are
version.
you trying to Matt Neglia me buy physical media?
No,
Is that what
you
you're
know
telling
me. I'm just saying, if you're gonna go out of your way, if we're gonna do, a foreign film, like I can find dubbed only. If you're really anal about it, and you want the subs, just buy it.
Just do what I did, get lucky, and get the regular version.
Brett, these guys are saying the movie started slow, and it's not really a term of mine, but I always have a certain point in a movie, like where a movie actually starts, where you kind of trudge out of the water, and you're like, bam, let's go. What was that point in this movie for you?
I mean, like, I guess we're deciding that the Indonesian version of the casino scene is boring, I guess.
Yeah,
and then you get a
casino
little
vibes, Brett. Agreed.
He's still breathing. Oh man, that never has a scene messed me up more than that scene the first time I saw it.
Oof. Yeah.
I swore off Vegas for like ever, and then I grew up. But Let's see. Then we get some exposition set up for the movie. I guess, I mean, one of the greatest action scenes of all time. You can say that. I feel like we're going to be saying that a lot. Is you have no idea why. I'm sorry. I'm just getting giddy thinking about it. He's in the bathroom.
Yes.
And he's just kind of pumping himself up, and the door's shaking. You're like, is this a zombie apocalypse or what's going on? And then all of a sudden, he just starts, oh my God, dude, it's so amazing. He just starts beating all these people up. And of course, they get him in the end. But that, I mean, I put up with 10 minutes of tying up a previous film and a little bit of foreshadowing to see that scene. That was amazing.
There's no preamble to this.
Yeah, no, it's not.
They set up that he's going to go commit a crime just to go to jail. And in the movie, we see him basically, I think, like saying goodbye to his wife. And then all of a sudden, he's in this stall with like 39 guys pushing in on it.
This is the real 36 Chambers. But
what's really great about that fight is that he's in the stall and there's a, what do you want to call it? Like a bottleneck, a choke, right? The door is only so wide. So not everyone can run in at the same time. So he's basically taking them on 1, 2 at a time for a lot of it until like the crowd just moves right in. And they basically just dogpile him.
Do you guys, anybody watch the behind the scenes on this?
No, I meant to do a bunch of extra stuff, but I didn't get around to it.
The director is real genius with this. What they did was they made the stall like standard size, and they decided they really want to do like close-ups, and they wanted to get the DPs in there. They wanted to get the camera guy in there moving around with people. So how they achieved that is they had people on the sides of the walls, like moving them like with the action.
That's awesome.
Except the back part was attached to the wall. So what they did was they had these hinges in the front. They would lift up and move it with the action. So the camera guy can get in there. A bunch of bodies could get in there. So it made it seem like really confined and massive at the same time.
And there's
Incredible.
some genius over the head shots too, right,
Oh,
Stevie?
yeah.
A lot of genius shots in this movie.
I like the guy who's trying to climb the wall, and our hero just pulls on his leg and like crotch busts him on the top of the door, and he like falls over.
I felt so bad for the first guy. I mean, you can't feel bad for the first guy, but it literally gets his neck snapped like instantly. You always gotta.
That's lucky compared to what some of the other people get.
I know. It reminded me. Do you guys know what the Japanese sport's called? Where they have like, it's like someone's like on a wooden pole and there's like a bunch of people on a team and like people are trying to climb up on top of it and throw each other off.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I know what it's called though.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, that's what that reminded me of, honestly. But that really is like the first big scene. I mean, this story.
Botashawi is what it's called.
Botox.
Botashi is the pole thing.
I really kind of wish Americans had this sport just to see what would happen on live TV. But yeah, I think Gareth Evans is a genius for what they achieved in these bathroom shots and scenes. And the overhead shots are incredibly cool. The choreography looks even more crisp than it was in the first one. Brett, what's the martial arts they used in the first grade called?
It's the same one. It's Penchak Salat.
Oh, Salat. Okay.
Salat, yeah.
Yeah. These guys trained for 6 months in pre-production to learn.
You can tell
how to hit each other at full speed while not using full force. So it's a little more than just tagging in this film. They're hitting each other, but they learned how to hit each other without hurting each other, if that makes sense.
But can they beat Steven Seagal?
That's the real question.
Dude, Brett, just imagine if he was in that stall and they just rush in and he's just like breaking necks, like neck after neck. It's like that Mad TV shit.
Will Sasso?
Yeah.
Is this a type of movie that can't really be made now because labor post-COVID, like labor shortage, is just too expensive? They had to have so many people just training for like, how long did they work on this stuff?
So they were training every day for 6 months with each other. So the main fighting principal cast, the people that were actually throwing blows with one another, training for about 6.5 months, and then shooting this film took close to 7 months.
So what's the budget?
Quite frankly, I'm not sure. Usually, when it comes to Indonesian films, it's kind of like other foreign countries. They're, kind of funded by the government itself. But because of kind of the cult following that the raid got and the somewhat success of it, a bunch of different companies stepped in for distribution rights. So I think the production was actually higher than you would think.
You were saying that Gareth Evans wanted to make this movie all along, right? But then he had to make the raid first, basically?
Yeah, so...
Cheaper, right? Probably?
I don't think he could get funding for a 2.5-hour martial arts movie that really hadn't been put to the test. So really, the first film was kind of like, I want to make this so I can get the film I actually want to make, made. That's kind of the situation that was.
How does a Welsh-born writer-director end up in these Indonesian government-funded films? That's
I believe
crazy.
He's married to an Indonesian woman.
Interesting.
Yeah, quite frankly, I have no clue about his personal life, but that man knows his shit when it comes to shooting and lighting. And honestly, I mean, Kylo, what did you make of the prison riot scenes? I think that is just a really fun watch.
The prison riot is fucking amazing. There's a lot of scenes that I will say are fucking amazing, and that's one of the big ones, following the bathroom stall one. But it's really cool. It's like there's this slow build up to it. A prison hit is about to happen, and our main guy Rama is getting ready, and it's just fucking it's brutal, man. The one thing that happens that really stands out in my mind, and it's pretty quick, is someone throws a kick and someone catches the kick. I think it's Rama, and then he hits the knee in the opposite direction, and you just see it bend downwards.
That's the first one I said. I don't think bones are. Breaking through a tibia and a fibula are not that easy to do. But I don't care. It was awesome.
There are occasionally times where someone gets hit and something extreme happens in reaction to the hit, where you're well, maybe that was a little bit too much, but they're going so fast that I think it works. And the movement speed in the fight scenes, I was trying to watch it to see if it was sped up, because it was remarkably fast.
There's a couple of whip cuts in there for sure.
These guys move at incredible speed, though, I think, even when it's not a camera trick.
There's an amazing shot when the cops or I guess the prison guards are first running into the mud pit, and it follows them out through the tunnel, then lifts up above the mud pit, and you just see all of the prisoners running into the middle of the mud pit, and the blue cops in the middle of the mud pit. It's freaking incredible. There's so many amazing moments of cinematography in this whole prison sequence, but especially this fight.
Tons, yeah.
You know what I was thinking of? We covered as spoilers the entire Game of Thrones, definitely the last few seasons. But anyway, the Battle of the Bastards, I really think they borrowed a couple shots from the raid. There's the overhead shots with all of the
Closing
people in the
in.
prison and the guards dying. It's just straight
so
overhead. And it really does look like some sort of Renaissance art as well. Somehow in a muddy Indonesian prison, it looks like that.
Yeah, the amazing part to me about this movie is when people listen to this podcast, you guys know I can't stand mud.
It's true. Yeah.
But you said this is really clay, right? It probably didn't bother you as much, right?
No, it's legit mud. So what they did was brought in a ton and ton and ton of dirt. This was an old fort that they retrofitted to be a prison. So the pretty much inner courtyard was all brand new. The bars and windows were placed by the production company all over the windows, make it more look like a prison. Everything in that courtyard was, built for this movie. It's really cool to see. But what they did was brought in tons of dirt, wetted it, turned it into mud. Well, they had issues during shooting because this is such a long shooting process. The sun was baking it. And everybody knows, when the sun hits mud, it's not good for anybody. It has a really tough time staying wet. So they were wetting this thing constantly, built a giant tent over the courtyard to block out the sun, and that's how they shot it. So like, I don't think it was intended to be this way, but when they were like trudging through inches upon inches of mud, that was because the sun kept drying it out and they had to reapply it and re-wet it and bring in more dirt.
So did they have to like CGI out the tent, like for those like
they
lower
removed
angle
the tent.
shots?
They like removed the tent when they started shooting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there was like in between shots throughout the tent, tear down in between. You know what I mean? It's just anytime the sky was need to be in, tear down the tent. Really.
Can we talk a little bit about plot-wise what this scene serves as? Do you mind?
Yeah, have at it, Josh.
I think Rama, he's in this undercover mission, and
Yuda.
please correct me if I'm wrong, but he needs to get attached to Yuko, who is like this boss's
Uko.
This mob boss's son, and so coming with like he has to protect him to basically. So I don't know. I guess this whole prison brawl is to show Rama gaining the confidence of Uko, right?
And his life is at stake.
Yeah, and it probably happened even more times, I'm guessing, like after this, but this is like a huge dramatic time. Like, right, like, yeah, he like diving saves him, doesn't he?
Yeah, so this part of the film I think is probably the most important part when it comes to action serving the plot and stakes. I think the stakes are at an all-time high with this for the simple fact that like no one really knows that like Rama is going undercover into prison outside of like maybe 3 or 4 people. The unit's so incredibly small he's working for. Not just that, but there's people that want Rama's head. There's people that are willing to get after his wife and his son. But also they like made it pretty much clear when he's going undercover and going to prison for multiple years, which he didn't even know, that like, if this dude dies, what's his name again? Uko? Or
yeah.
They say Ucho in the dubbed version.
It's not Ucho. It's.
They say Ucho in the regular version as well.
Do they?
Yep.
I'm just reading.
They rarely ever say his name clearly, but at the end, I believe in the language it's Ucho because the martial art is spelled and it's penchak. So I'm guessing the C makes a ch sound in Indonesian.
I was just very rarely listening to the dialogue, more so reading it and listening to the tone of voice, right?
He does hate subtitles. But like with this, pretty much, so they pretty much tell him is, if this dude dies, we really can't help you. You're going to be stuck there because you assaulted a politician's son and put him in a wheelchair. And also, there's a chance that your like wife and son may get murdered as well. So like this courtyard is everything to Rama.
And the way he has to like run across the muddy field to save him too, like I don't know how you say the main actor's name, Iko Uwais.
Iko one day.
Yeah, he is like there's the physicality of his performance and just like how tired he gets. Like it's very realistic in that sense too. Like how exhausted he is at the end of the fight, or like how he uses like all of his last energy to run across this field to like last second save Ucho. It looks really great. But that guy who visits him, Stevie, in prison, when the guy comes and visits him, what does he mean by like I made you just by showing my face? Like what does that
No idea.
Who are you? I'm the guy gifting you 5 years just so you can say you belong. Since you've walked in, they've been eyeballing you all trying to get a feel for who you are. But by sitting here, I just made you, but don't worry. You can thank me later on.
Oh yeah? Who do I thank for the fucking 3 years I got given? Huh? Bunawar said I'd be out in months, not years.
Did you really think that crook politician would stop you from being here? That it would make things even? Fair? No. You went after his son. Be glad he showed enough heart not to come for yours.
I need you to talk to Bunawar.
Nah, I'm just here to show my face. And I did that already. Now, you're on your own. Suck it up and don't fuck it up.
I got an idea. I think that guy was just like a prison tough back in the day. So, like, they don't want to show who, like, Rama is actually connected to. So they just show a guy that's, like, really respected by the people that are already in there.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's what I took away as well.
So they paid this guy to do that, or what?
Probably.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a Better Call Saul situation.
He's just a really good lawyer?
Yeah, just a lawyer that defends really shitty people. And like, oh, he has that lawyer. He defends everybody that's bad.
That makes sense too.
Yeah.
They don't really ever say.
Yeah, that's kind of really not spoken. But Pap, how does Rama's new life unfold after prison? Because he's in there for close to 3 years.
Yeah, I think it says 2 years later. Awesome shot, like when he's coming out of the prison with like the title or the card 2 years later and like the wall of the prison and everything. But he's now best buds with Ucho. We don't see any more time of him in prison. He's on the outside now, but they've clearly formed a strong bond. Ucho hooks him up with an apartment. It's got everything he needs.
Looks at his dick
For the first time in a long time. Yeah, that whole scene too, because I was a little confused on like where the wire had come from the first time. But like once I got a second, like the second time, like man, that scene's so great. Like I don't know if there's any kind of scene in a movie where it's like he doesn't know if there's any more surprises.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? Like that's what makes that scene so great. And he just looks so scared as he's like turning around and like showing him his dick and stuff. Like, you know what I mean?
It's
like,
really cool.
It's such a great scene. And like they burn the clothes anyway, despite the fact that there wasn't a wire on him. He's in deep now.
Well, what are the chances that there was a second wire?
What were the chances that there were the first? I mean, they didn't tell him there was one to begin with.
Ucho's dad is the main boss. His right-hand man is undercover, was undercover at a certain point. So like,
I loved him.
So like, if there was a second wire, he wouldn't have said anything.
Eka?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, all the Superior cares about is what he can listen to. That's like the only work he does, driving around listening in. Of course he wants bugs. Yeah, there probably was another one in there, Stevie, and they just didn't look closely enough.
I mean, that's what I thought of it, at least. But yeah, Rama gets a brand new start at life, and his life goes to hell really, really quick. But before that, what really kind of launches the movie off is this character, Benjo, is really kind of the motivation for Rama going to prison in the first place, so he can get close to this person, so he can get close to Benjo to kill him because he killed his brother, is Ucho is going to betray the family, and not just that, but he's also going to betray a beloved character from the first film, not playing that character, but a different one.
Right.
Korey, what did you make of the return of Mad Dog?
The return
That's
of
not
Mad
Dog.
You know, they could have said, like, man, I'm so sad my twin brother died. This guy, I don't know his name. Doesn't matter too much for the purposes of this movie. But we know it's the same actor that was the ultimate badass in the first raid. So just seeing him is like, okay, you know something's up. This movie is very connected to the first movie. I think they expect you to have seen the first one. So when we see this guy, we know something big is coming, and then we see what he's about. And he's like this... He's kind of like this downtrodden, like hobo-looking dude that is actually a one-man army. But he's so like inconspicuous. Like you could just pass him on the street and you wouldn't think anything of this guy. He doesn't dress like the other mob guys. He doesn't, wear three-piece suits or anything.
He looks homeless.
He looks very much homeless.
He looks like the Geico caveman dudes.
And again,
he looks like Lieutenant Dan.
He's still not a very attractive man anyway, No.
He's so dirty looking in this movie.
I mean, I got nothing but respect for this guy. He is an amazing athlete. He's clearly an amazing fighter.
Plus, he pulled that wife. She's decent looking.
Yeah, exactly. He's probably hung.
What?
Okay.
But
Did we
he's
call
great.
him the Ronaldinho of hand-to-hand combat last time on this pod? I love that because he's kind of small, but he's so tricky.
The what of hand-to-hand?
Ronaldinho? Well, he looks like Ronaldinho.
He looks like Ronaldinho, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's to add to that, Korey, like it's kind of sad because he doesn't seem like he has like a black heart or anything like that. He was just really good at something. He said himself he was never really smart and not smart enough to do anything else, and all he cares about, and even what's his name, the big boss says it later, like all he cares about was his wife and child. So he did whatever he could to take care of his family, even though doing that like lost his family for him. But helping his family and not seeing him is better than not helping his family. So
yeah.
he's kind of just like a victim of circumstance.
He wants them to live well because he could work at Wendy's probably, like.
Right.
Yeah, it ticked me off a little bit that she's over there on her high horse judging him, but she doesn't mind taking that money from him.
Nope, not at all, right?
Nope. She got to get her hair did.
Yeah, I love this fight scene in the clubs. It's just so cool. Like, it seems crowded. Like, it is crowded when Ucho and Mad Dog Redux are talking there. Then, like, when he closes his eyes and he opens them, the place is empty and everybody's coming for him.
What happened to the people in the club?
Yeah, I don't know if did he zone out or was he drunk or...
Did he get drugged?
I was led to believe like we were in his mind for a couple minutes.
That's what I thought.
The movie plays it out like it's like 5 seconds and everyone's gone and the music's off and everything. But I think he just got lost in his own thoughts. He was looking at a picture of his kid, I think, just thinking about his family, probably, thinking about some regrets. And then all of a sudden, bam, it's on.
Like, he was about to go to apply for Wendy's tomorrow before this happened.
Assistant manager, baby.
Gonna need to cut those fingernails, son.
He'll end up killing the manager, so...
So are we to think that this, like, gloved, mysterious sunglasses man ordered this hit?
Well, we know he did.
They talk about it. Yeah, they talk about...
Yeah.
They want to start a war, and
that's Benjo's whole endgame.
Yeah, Bejo.
Bejo? Yeah.
Bejo. And Ucho says he won't start a war over just any random killing or whatever. It's got to be someone who means something to Bangoon or whatever. So they get this guy who he's known him forever. He probably protected the kid,
But it is another one of those things that's kind of discussed after the fact. So you're kind of lost.
True.
At least watching this for the first time, I was kind of lost as to, like, who's trying to kill this guy.
Yeah, so Bejo pretty much put those dudes in front of Ucho, saying, here's the cats that tried to kill you in prison, as well as, look at these tattoos they have, which comes into play near the end of the movie. But with the fight with Mad Dog, I just love it. His frantic energy is so much fun to watch. The brutality he fights with, and also like the fact that not everything is flawless. It's really dirty. He's getting stabbed and beaten in the back constantly. And one thing I did enjoy what this movie did was that he's probably going to die. But when it shows him exiting the building into the snow, and like you see the assassin that works for Bejo just standing there, you're like, okay, this is where this man is going to die. And nothing I love more on film than blood on the snow. What a great way to end these scenes.
There you go.
Like the snowman, right?
Yes, like the snowman. Perfect example.
That's where it all came from. Yeah.
I don't think Ucho's plan was very good. I mean, like, there's going to be dead bodies and stuff. Surely they could prove that it wasn't the Japanese, right? This seemed like not a very good plan.
I don't know, like, how the mob hits work. Do they have, like, a cleanup crew that collects the bodies?
Cleaners.
Because those were Bejo's people who were taking him down?
Yeah.
At least the assassin was. I'm pretty sure everybody else was Bejo's people, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of his whole end game, is to pit the Indonesians against the Japanese, starting an all-out war. Everybody's dead and Bejo can rise to prominence, right?
Pretty much.
Pap, what did you make of Ucho turning on his dad? Was that the ultimate twist, or could you see that coming from a mile away?
It was an ultimate anime betrayal, for sure.
Top 10 ultimate anime betrayals.
The dad has way too much patience with his boy there.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? He's got to put the hammer down way before this point. Because even after Mad Dog gets assassinated, he's talking to Eka, his right-hand man, who's also an undercover cop, like you mentioned, Stevie. But he's like, this is no good. No good. Like, he already knows that, like, shit's gone awry. But he lets it get way too far. Yeah, I mean, there's that scene with the So there's the Chinese, the Japanese, and like the Indonesian gangs, right? Is that how this town is split up? And they have to like go make peace with the Japanese or whatever. And like I said, I think I said this earlier in the podcast, but that whole thing was like totally lost in translation. The way that like he's like capitulating to him in Japanese or whatever, but he finally gets the courage to like kick his son's ass and be like, you ruined everything. And then Bejo walks in and it's lights out for the dad, which I don't know. I wasn't expecting him to get shot in the face like that. I wasn't expecting, the son kind of has like a happy look on his face. I don't know if you guys caught that or all, but he didn't seem that upset about what he had done.
I thought what I saw when he said, forgive me, but at the same time, he seemed like he was a psychopath the whole movie.
The son is a total psychopath.
So I can't imagine if he has any feelings for his father, it's probably just of necessity. So.
He shoves a microphone in a prostitute's vagina at one point.
No, he's a psycho.
Yeah.
I actually think they do show on screen some remorse here. They, a couple times, hang on him with his dad on the ground dead. And I think even like Bejo talks to him and he doesn't even respond because he's just like out of it. And then the next scene they show him, he's like furiously washing the blood off his hands.
Great visual. Blood on his hands.
A lot of blood.
Well, he could be, I know I don't want to get too deep into the weeds of psychology or whatever, but I guess he could be sociopathic. They have a tendency to make relationships with people more and to actually feel what, I don't know, they think is love-ish. So I guess that could be it. Josh, maybe?
I just want to clarify one thing. Pappy, he does not put a microphone in a woman's vagina. He puts it up to her vagina and asks her to sing from it. So it's more funny and less weird than you described.
Yeah.
You found that scene funny?
He shoves it up there.
I was not laughing at that
Don't be scared.
I was laughing a fucking lot in this movie. But
that's misogynistic, dude.
Is there a part specifically, Korey?
Anytime someone's like head got caved in and shit like that, that's just my reaction to stuff like that. It just makes me laugh. I was actually thinking, because Josh, you're probably the expert on this. I was wondering, by the time I finished this movie, what would Quentin Tarantino think of this movie? Have you heard him mention the Raid movies in any of the thousands of interviews you've listened to, Josh?
Thousands of interviews. I can't recall. Pappy, can you?
Not that I remember. I do get a lot of Kill Bill vibes, though, from this movie, especially with kind of like the quirkiness of the bad guys, right? Like the Bat Boy and the blind girl with the hammers.
Hammer Girl.
They felt like Kill Bill characters, kind of.
This is like Kill Bill meets The Departed meets John Wick.
I gotta imagine Tarantino would love this film. That'd be my hunch.
I have to imagine Tarantino would be like jealous of these films, honestly.
Why? Because they got an R rating?
I 100% agree with that. I think he would cream in his pants if he had the capability to fight choreography.
Yeah, the choreography and
like
camera work of it, I think he would just love it personally.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I like Quentin Tarantino. I'm not dissing him. I mean, the Crazy 88 scene is a legendary scene, but like this is a whole movie of Crazy 88 scenes.
Yeah, this movie has like at least 3. So that's pretty epic.
Brett, is there one in particular, the Crazy 88s, don't mention the kitchen scene, that stood out to you?
Ooh, man. Oh, man. I love the fact that this movie literally has bosses.
Yes, Brett.
And they call them like henchmen on Wikipedia, but no, these are freaking video game bosses. Yep. And it's right before, can I mention the scene right before the kitchen scene?
Oh, yeah, please.
Dude, the scene when he fights Hammer Girl and Baseball Batman is like the freaking best.
Everything in that building is awesome. The reds really help like offset like the Fight Club green that comes inherently with the movie. That's kind of, I mean, it's not as bad as Fight Club, but
it's not as bad as the first one.
It made the red look like poop, that's for sure.
What color is the hallway scene? Is that red too?
Red, some yellows, browns.
Then it goes to white, and then it goes back to red. I also love when he storms like the warehouse that leads into the, and he starts running people over, and then he like gets stuck in the wall, and he gets tit because he wanted to run more people over.
John Wick 2 totally ripped that off, by the way.
What did?
John Wick 2. Like, that warehouse scene is beat for beat John Wick 2. Like, they had to have watched this movie and said, we're just going to do that. I mean, it's the exact same.
I immediately thought of The Last Jedi with that Red Room epic fight scene. Maybe Korey got some vibes too, where Rey and Kylo Ren are together fighting the...
I'm never going to let that one go.
Oh, that's cool, yeah. The Knights of...
Whoever
Ren?
the fuck those dudes are. It's not explained.
Yeah, for sure. I how do I want to say this? I agree with you, Brett, though, about like the bosses, because this whole movie, there's so much like henchmen that are getting like carved through that you don't know.
Yeah.
But these guys are like set up earlier, right? During the whole big mob war, when like all the sides are just like killing each other, it's basically like a kill spree montage. Those two really stand out, especially to me, like the Bat Boy.
Yeah.
Cause he like Babe Ruth's motherfuckers. Like he like points to him and he like tosses up a ball and like hits it at him. And then when the ball's on the ground, he like demands that they return it. Like
it's like in a movie full of hundreds of amazing fighters, they make sure to single out maybe four or five, and that you just know that they're all going to face it. I mean, they're not all going to face each other, but you know, you get the main character. And then, like you said, when they kind of unleash these three bosses to kind of to take over, you get to see those. I mean, does the assassin say a word? Because if he doesn't, that's even better. Like
I don't think he ever speaks in this movie.
He's so amazing. He just sits there and just so scary. And I love all three of them. What's Bejo's confidence level that those three people?
Oh, 100%.
This guy is going to get through. I mean, yeah, 100%. They're going to kill this guy.
Yeah, I mean, he'd bet the house that Rama wasn't walking out of that kitchen.
When you see you actually see fear for the first time when he comes in and he stumbles over to get his gun. But yeah, so I don't want to jump the gun on that. But I mean, I will say this. I don't want to be that guy, but I mean, a lot of these, I'm going to be that guy because I am that guy, I guess. But a lot of these situations could have been helped out maybe if some of these bodyguards had any, what are they called? Guns?
Knives? Oh, damn.
Well,
almost had it.
I think...
Brett, I want to speak to that.
Because the first movie's all guns.
This movie is improved by the lack of guns.
Yeah, no, and it makes it does, but like, I guess, and you're right, it does. You're 100%.
Let him rebuttal.
But at the same time, it's like, you're obviously not living in a world where there's no guns because we're just coming off the raid redemption or whatever, and that's just freaking automatic warfare. But you're right. The logical side of me is just like, man, these guys are crime bosses. They should have some guns. But I guess it's just part of the movie.
Fuck guns, give me hammers, bro. I want hammers. I want baseballs. I want little fucking sharp hooks. I don't know what those are, but they're cool.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen those before, but one girl in Lucifer always uses those, so I have no idea what they are.
I want car crushes. I want Hanayori stovetops. I
let's
want
go.
wine bottles. Dude,
He fucking Freddy Krueger's that cop, dude, on the stove.
Yeah, he does.
Dude, his face the makeup on that looks so good.
I know, it's so good.
Now I just want to see like Bill's Kill Squad and Go-Go. Maybe not all of them against like the 4 or 5 studs in this movie. I just want to see them now.
Yes.
Josh, you brought up the car chase scene, which is really just a cool piece of filmmaking. What did you make of the camera work of that? I mean, you're into, like, you've worked behind a camera, obviously. What did you make of that?
I don't know. Did they have like car doors on hinges again?
They did a lot of cool stuff, I'll tell you that.
Well, hearkening back to something Brett said earlier in passing, but this Eka character, he's really like showing his stripes here. He was so cool in the scene where he's like, you're a fucking traitor, and he just tries to draw, and then like he's got this like shot leg for the next like half an hour, and then he's driving in this car in the scene that you're setting me up for, and he's just like a badass. I love seeing this dude. But the camera work is amazing. Who was talking about that semi headshot out the window part earlier?
Oh, that was Brett.
I just think there's a lot of little touches like that and a lot of just bodies like still in the car sort of feel to this, Stevie. It feels so full. Like you couldn't even imagine how they would fit a camera into these places.
Yeah, so one of my favorite camera like transitions, like I've seen a lot of movies. This is up there like top 2, like 1, 2, or 3. Is when they're doing the pass off between cars. I think that is so cool. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
He jumps off the back?
No. So there's a sequence when a camera is like kind of on the side of the car looking back. Another car speeds up into frame of that camera and it passes through that car out the other side and then back into another car.
Is that where the Eka character gets like surprised like right at the end of that sequence or whatever? Yeah. That's fucking amazing. Dude, the way that looks, like it's like one continuous shot. And you say they were like passing the camera like between the cars,
they had
basically?
they had these 2 kind of like pallet type platforms in the side of the cars. And they had a little bit of suspension and like pull to them. It's like when the other car would speed up, it would pass in front of the driver, but there would actually be another person out of frame in the back seat grabbing that camera, passing it through the far window. Someone's laying down on a platform and then grabs it from above, and then another car comes into view. That is so cool.
It's such an incredible shot. And I love like when the motorcyclist just gets an Uzi straight to the face in that sequence too. Like
a full clip.
Waste so much ammo.
Overkill.
I've never seen anything like that in a movie. Like a full Uzi to the face. Incredible.
That's one of the moments that I laughed.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
That really does remind me of Inglourious Bastards, Hitler's rubber ass face.
Hold on, Brett's going to tell us that it's not an Uzi.
No. First of all, that's hilarious, Josh, what you're talking about. No, but I hate to like burst the bubble, but like, and we know it's a movie, but you know, like cars, the metal on cars doesn't stop bullets, you know? Like, it's always kind of funny that they're shooting at him, but he's like, oh, he's behind that little thing where the seatbelt clip is. Yeah,
that little tiny strip.
What if he was in a Woodside?
What if he was in a Woodside?
Yeah, like a...
It'd be even easier to go through. Literally, there's one spot you can hide behind and not get shot in the car. And you got to hide behind the engine, like, you know. But like...
What if Dom Toretto had reinforced the car before all
exactly.
Well, now we're just getting
just
crazy
another
talk.
day at the office.
You guys are talking about this chase scene, which I agree is amazing, but it was making me think, and I thought this a few times in the movie, that this movie, unlike a typical American movie, doesn't like over-explain or make excuses for itself. I kept thinking like, if this was an American movie, that Eka guy would have been like, I used to be a stunt driver or something like that. You know? Because he's doing all these car stunts. And like, I think the reason why some people might be kind of maybe confused or just maybe not sure what they're in for at the beginning of the movie is because it doesn't over-explain. You know? Like,
no, it doesn't.
It gets into it. It's like, these are the characters. It's not going to go into super great detail. You'll learn along the way. It's like, are you with us or not? And I know you guys have talked about how you appreciate respecting your audience. I agree with that as well.
Trust your audience, yeah. You know, I'm drawing the blank. There was a shot where this is going to end up being nothing, but I saw it and I was like, they made a point of something and they showed it down the line and I said, please do not pan back. God, you know what? I'm not even going to talk about it, but it was exactly like that. I'm like, trust your audience to know the little trick you're doing. And I think a couple times in this movie they did that where they trusted us and they didn't go back and be like, you get it? You get it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I mean. That kind of stuff can be said visually too, yeah.
There's a sequence where Mad Dog is like getting tea with the big boss, Bangoon, or whatever his name is. Then it immediately cuts to the Mad Dog guy like being on the street with just a machete next to him. And you don't really put 2 and 2 together that he's on a hit job for the big boss, but then it's all explained later in the movie as things happen, right? So like on your second watch, it's way more clear. But I like how it's just like, is this a flashback? Like, what's happening here? And all of a sudden he's just starting to charge this guy that he sees on the street slowly, Michael Myers style. It's pretty great.
He's big time like a horror movie villain in that scene. He doesn't run. Did you notice that in that scene?
Freaking, it's Jason Voorhees. It's literally with a machete.
True. Yes, that's the
one. It's
one.
also a cool shot where I've never seen this in a movie before, but he stabs that guy through the fence. And then like when he pulls it out, not obviously, it feels like you can just see the pulp of the body on the other side. It's like oozing down, and then you see his eye. It's like, yeah, that's pretty freaking cool. That's like a flex, a director flex. So.
And the camera's like through the slit on the other side, I think, on that one, yeah.
And I think this movie has a little bit more sense of humor than the first raid too, like with the baseball bat stuff. Like I think that's hilarious, like him calling a shot, like Babe Ruth, like Korey said. And like in the scene, the guy who's running away, like pushes his girlfriend at Mad Dog to try and like block him. It's like, okay, dude, everyone's rooting for you to get killed now at this point.
I think the director, writer, editor, which I think that, Gareth Evans editing this while they were shooting it is incredible. He said the reason they did that is because on a 6 or 7 month shoot, people can get really tired of each other. And he didn't bring this up, but it kind of brought to my attention, like what happened with Tom Hardy in Fury Road, which is just him in the desert, not knowing what was around him or what they were trying to accomplish. And him being pissy, for 4 months in the desert. Like, Gareth Evans was showing all of his actors what they were accomplishing as it was happening. So he said it gave them momentum throughout the shoot. Like, I know this sucks. I know it's incredibly hard and what we're doing is like nearly impossible, but I promise you, like, I'll show you at the end of the day what we're doing. And that's what he did.
Good tactic.
I would just love to think of him having like little private screenings, and they're like all kind of wary from the day, and then they just end up
16-hour shoots, Josh.
And then they're like, "Oh yeah, woo!" Like seeing their shit, their dailies, just like looking badass.
I mean, if you were working on this movie and they showed you one of these amazing scenes, you would be like, "This is going to be the biggest movie ever made," right?
Yeah.
Watching this movie, it's like, especially rewatching it. Every other scene was like, oh my God, I fucking love this scene. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, the scene's amazing type thing. Like, there's so many, like you said, like crazy 88 level fight sequences within this one movie. They had to have like pumped them up just to see the fruits of their labor like that.
I mean, you think about it, most of these guys put close to 12 or 13 months of their life into this movie from pre-production to end. Like, it's just incredible to think about. And Korey kind of struck me when he said, trust your audience. Gareth Evans takes a character that everybody loved with the first movie, Brother Andy, which you thought would team up with Rama, and gets his head blown off in the first minute, And not just that, but I think it's incredible that a movie that has nothing to do with, car chases or really cars in general does cars better than most Fast and the Furious movies.
Well, let's not be hasty.
Well, no, what I'm saying is like, because what's the main character? I think Iko Uwais was in one of the Fast and Furious movies with Paul Walker in the bus. I think that was him in the bus scene. And
sorry, Stevie.
I was gonna say that scene is schlockily like awful. Like if you're gonna bring like another genre into like part of your film, at least do it correctly. And as I said, attention to detail. Gareth Evans does that pristinely, where he's doing stuff with the camera that most directors and productions would never dare to do. But go ahead, Josh.
Well, do you like that part where that one car hits the median and that body just immediately flops out dead?
Yes.
That's like better than anything I've seen in any Fast and Furious movie. That should have happened to Dom like 16 times by now.
I think you were offending Korey.
I don't mean to offend Korey. What I'm saying is this movie does everything with like a hyper version of itself. It's not just a fight scene. It's a fight scene with so many layers and so much chaos going on that it makes it incredible. It doesn't just lend itself to the fighting, but as well as the car chases too. I just find that to be really cool.
This is a different kind of movie than the Fast and Furious movies. This movie deserves more respect, if I'm being honest. The Fast and the Furious movies, I like them. They're fun. They're ridiculous. They're completely unrealistic cartoons.
But this is way better.
This is also unrealistic, but it is more realistic. It's more well executed. It looks better. I mean, there's a lot to, if you're going to compare it to the Fast and Furious movies, that's better. I still like them though, even though I agree.
Pappy, let's get into it.
All right.
What about that kitchen fight scene, dude?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people say it's their favorite fight scene of all time. I mean, I'm kind of right there with them. It's way, way, way up there for me. I can't name one that I like more.
It just gets more and more intense.
Yeah, it's the way that it builds, right? Like the way that, even from the beginning, the way that the assassin like slides up to Rama, you know what I mean? He just like
so much.
Shuffles his feet to get in position, and they kind of have this like stop and go thing at the start, but there's like also just this incredible attention to detail as they're interacting with their environment, right? Like where the blood is being left on the ground, like, or when the glass is breaking, or even how they're moving throughout the room, and it's always like consistent, and like the flow of the fight makes sense. I mean, fuck, dude, this is an amazing scene.
8 days, right, Stevie?
Took 8 days to shoot from start to finish, and like we know about the assassin from early on with the death of Mad Dog. We even know, like, when Rama comes in to seeing his boss murdered by his son, that like, okay, the assassin's like the real deal. This is like final boss type stuff. And like what Pappy said, when he does that, when they do like the slide up with each other, it's almost like a tournament. Like, you know, let's kind of gauge each other here. I think that's just a really cool look.
And Rama had lost to him once in the movie already, like you mentioned, but he was real fucked up, like in that fight, right? He just got done pouring like disinfectant on his open wounds and like shaking on the floor. So he still barely lost. So it's like you got the revenge factor going on. It's a fair fight for most of it until the assassin busts out his knives or whatever. Then the intensity of the fight just like gets ramped up even more, and the music builds. Like, God, it's just so fucking good, man. It just is so good.
And one thing I mean, I can just like, this is my favorite fight scene of all time, if I'm being honest. Like nothing, like not you know, if you told me this took 50 minutes to shoot, you know, versus 8 days, I'm like, wow, that's just absolutely incredible. The attention to detail, you know, we've done movies, I don't think Josh was on the Collector episode, where we say, you know, in the house, we had no clue where we were with any of the characters at any time because we never really got a layout of the rooms and how they interacted with the rooms. Even with the chaos of quick cuts and being in close quarters and blood everywhere, in such fast motion, I still had a great idea of where they were within this kitchen. And like just the respect of where they were close to things and their environment, I thought that was incredible.
Big time.
That too, like I'm not a big fan of, like, this is like a very Jason Bourne style camera, right? Like it's very shaky.
Not as bad, but yeah, it's on that level.
There's a lot of shaky cam going on in this, and I'm not normally a fan of this, but it doesn't bother me like one iota.
It like adds to it, like it's like the vibrations, like you like almost feel it in you. Yeah, I think it, but I don't mind that as much. Like the first time I ever saw the Jason Bourne scene, before shaky cam kind of like came into the zeitgeist of filmmaking in 2000s, I thought it was cool, but I guess I could see how it can like disorient you and stuff like that. So.
Also, I really want the cover image for this episode to be the face that the assassin's making when he's like crouched on the ground, all spread out. You know what I mean? Like in a little break in the fight. Like that's got to be the Instagram cover and the image for the episode.
Can I offer some criticism as we really give a lot of praise to this movie and the scene in general?
Please, George.
Okay, so this movie it's a long movie.
2.5.
Yeah,
It's a very long movie.
And besides the fact that our main character doesn't just grab some wine bottles from this huge cellar and start whipping some ass with them, I was just wanting him to do that the whole time. But besides that, I gotta say I might have been getting a little bit of fight fatigue at this point. The scene is amazing, but I think you know the main's gonna win at this point, and like I said, it's a long movie. There's a lot of fight scenes, and I think I don't want to edit any of this out or anything, but does that jive with you at all? Like, just despite its cinematography, like, you've been sitting down for a while now watching people's faces get kicked in.
Yeah, it's like lesbian porn. You're like, you need for it to end. You need to have something to wait for.
Well,
now that's misogynistic.
I did not say that right at all anyway. I was just joking.
I can understand that, Josh, how you get fight fatigue. The only thing I counter with is it's doing stuff that we haven't seen in the movie yet. You know what I mean? I think a lesser film would have had Rama just stand up with him the entire time and have a minute fight with just leg kicks. Like, this went to the ground. Like, when they're on the ground kicking each other back and forth or, slamming each other's heads in to the island, back and forth, and also the assassin is just covered in an immense amount of blood. And with the music building, I didn't get fatigued from it, but I can understand how someone would be.
I feel like right when it was like you start to look at your watch, like figuratively, I feel like it ended. So I almost feel like it was perfect. And like if the last minute would have been the same as the previous 7 or whatever, maybe. But like when they both get the, I looked it up, they're called karambit knife.
Mm-hmm. Karambit.
When they both get that and they're, the main guy is just like ducking and slicing up the assassin every time, like using his momentum against him. I thought that was like amazing. It was like a new wrinkle, blood's spraying. I could definitely see it as well.
I said what I said, but I'm watching this back actually in the background right now as we pod, and it's mesmerizing.
Thank you.
It really is amazing.
There would be nowhere to go from here. Like, I'm glad it was kind of like the last big fight.
It was the final
of
boss.
the movie. No topping it.
Yeah, I'm glad there wasn't like another, like they go out there and, now he's got, he does there's a little bit of fighting, but.
That would be real
But
fatigue
he'd already
if
gotten
that
rid
happened.
of, he'd already fought all the fighters, so.
Mm-hmm. Like.
Now, if the guy from Three Ninjas, the Dance for Me Babies, Light Up the Eyes, like just walked out, I would have been like my favorite movie of all time. But
no, what about the Ninja Joker guy?
Yeah, no, he would have been perfect for this movie. Yeah, oh yeah.
He could have legitimately been in this movie. Like, that could have been a thing, and I would have been like, yeah, that kind of fits. There would be like a henchman that wears like crazy makeup and has a sword.
He's like the mystery assassin the Japanese send to try to take out the Indonesians.
Yes.
With the two scenes that are kind of connected between the kitchen and then going out to like the main restaurant room with Bejo reminds me of is like a video game where the second to last boss literally takes like a YouTube video and like an FAQ guide sheet and 3 friends and a lot of Red Bull to figure out how to beat him.
Goro was way harder than Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat.
And then like the final boss is like an interactive level where you just have to hit a certain amount of buttons and the game's over. Like, that's what this reminded me of.
Enter the Matrix style.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but Korey, take us home. Take us into Bejo in the Red Room.
Well, let's see. Bejo's in there. He is kind of like joined forces with Ucho. And I don't fully get this, so you guys can help me out a little bit here. But
Raza or whatever.
Yeah, he's like, I think, a corrupt cop or some kind of law enforcement guy. But Ucho sees a tattoo, right? And the camera shows it to us, and then they show us his reaction. So he notices something is up with this tattoo. Now, as far as I understood it, people that tried to assassinate him in prison also had that tattoo, right?
Yeah, so Bejo, however you want to say his name, he wanted an all-out war no matter what. So he hired the guy from prison to actually kill Ucho to think that it would start a war, from the inside, it would venture out. And Ucho didn't know that Bejo tried to have him killed while he was in prison. And that tattoo kind of linked to him being like, oh my God, he tried to kill me in prison. Like, this is the guy that tried to have me killed.
I see. And the reason that is a big deal to him is because he's essentially just getting played by Bejo this whole time.
He just killed his father for no reason, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, those are like his men that he offers up like he's doing Ucho a favor. But, I don't know. He's just a freaking snake, so go ahead. It doesn't matter.
Well, there is an amazing moment here, and we talked about it briefly earlier, where Bejo is like gunshot, like laying on the ground, dying, wounded, and fucking Ucho takes this shotgun up to his face, standing directly over him, and just blows his fucking face to smithereens.
How'd they do that to make it look like it looks pretty good?
It's a quick cut, I think. When it fires, it cuts to a dummy.
Exactly.
And it's amazing. It looks incredible. Like, I was wondering how they got him to say so still. There must be some, computer trickery
I think they
involved.
really blew his face off. Have we seen that guy in a movie since then?
Oh, shit. He's been missing for 5 years.
The Crow style.
Oh, my God.
That's method acting.
No.
R.I.P. Brandon Lee.
Stevie, in a movie of over-the-topness, did you feel like Bejo's character and persona was even maybe a little bit contrived or something, or did you like it?
Almost like, kind of like cartoony type, like, almost cartoony in a way.
Yeah, but I didn't feel like we needed that from him.
Well, I'll say this. If this sounds bad, I don't mean it to at all. Within the context of the movie, there's not a whole lot of difference between, the Indonesian side and the Japanese side. And because there's been a peace treaty for 10 years, so it's kind of at a standstill. And then you have Bejo in the middle, which is just creating chaos. So I think his character is that way, like, intentionally for a reason.
If this is an American film, who do you cast that dude as?
As Bejo?
Yeah.
Danny McBride.
I was getting some Jeremy Piven vibes.
Oh, I hate him.
Josh, tell me, I know this is like a point of contention for you guys, but Josh, did you not get any Brick vibes at all? The guy's like unhealthy, the boss, he's got henchmen that are stronger than him. Doesn't the bad guy in Brick have a cane and not breathe very well?
Interesting.
Is this a noir? No, it's not a noir film.
I mean, I'm not saying. I mean, the storyline's somewhat similar, but
Otherwise, I would think it was boring if it was.
Yeah, Pappy would think it was real boring at a 2.5-hour runtime.
I thought the Bejo guy kind of looked like Prince, to be honest. Did anybody get that, especially like in the last scene? I don't know, but
good.
Well, I was just saying, I thought it was like over the topness, like kind of fit with the tone of the movie, right? Like he does have like almost like a mustache twirling villain appearance to him.
Racer
like,
X.
There's that part like in the restaurant where like he knocks over a glass and gets super frustrated. You know what I mean? Like he's like, we can do anything or something, and he like knocks over a glass and starts cursing because he can't pick it up or whatever.
I mean,
like,
he's a Bond villain, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. He fits with the movie.
In a movie where everybody gets to where they are because of strength and brute force and everything like that, he's the cunning guy who can't fight. But if anything, at the end, before the final climax, he's got the power. He's earned his way to get the power. I don't know. It's just a little maybe nod to being more cerebral as opposed to, I don't know.
Yeah, he's got Nintendo power.
The sunglasses at night. And I guess the gloves thing pays off because you actually see
sunglasses at night.
That tattoo that Korey pointed out were really shown on camera is like kind of tucked in behind one of his gloved hands, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's on his wrist.
Stevie,
Korey.
Was there a raid in this movie?
Great question.
Is there a raid? Well,
I mean, kind of, right?
There's a couple of raids when you think about it. I mean, at the very end when, my boy Rama, Rama's on his last limbs. He just wants to go home and probably see his wife for the first time in years. There's a raid there. There's a bunch of folks coming.
Yeah, but which raid is the titular raid of the movie?
There's two raids. Raid 2.
Well, the titular raid is the moment that Benjo kills Andy, because Rama raids everybody's lives after that. It's a non-stop raid. It's a single man raid. It's a raid on humanity at this point.
Definition 1B in Merriam-Webster says it is a surprise attack by a small force. And if that is the case, then there are like 13 different raids.
Rama's like 20 soldiers in one, so I'll take that.
But I've been saying there's a surprise attack by a small force so many times. Then again, they're also pretty blatant. They don't really surprise attack. They're like, hey, look, I have hammers. Or, hey, I'm walking towards you with a machete. So,
or a bat. Pap, what'd you make of the kind of, I guess we could say non-concrete ending?
Oh, I liked it. The piano music at the end is great. It makes me want to raid 3 really, really, really badly.
It'll never happen.
Never say never.
It'll never happen.
How long was it in between Mad Max sequels, Stevie?
Man.
Literally never say never.
That's true, but I hope...
We're getting a Beetlejuice 2. We can get a raid 3.
We could. Honestly, I think post-pandemic, like in a normal theater year where, you know, we're not getting same-day releases on HBO Max and whatnot, I think the Raid 3 could make a boatload of money. But yeah, I mean, I love this ending personally. If you're not really being known what is said, like Pappy said, the piano music's great. Rama looks like he's just on his last legs.
Stevie question, what do you think is being said in the inaudible dialogue?
I think they're offering him a home because he has no home anymore.
A home or a job. I think that's 100%
the home
what
is
it
the job, yeah.
And it's a callback to when, what's his buddy that died, Eka, basically said something like, you can't get out. You either get sucked in or you get tempted by all the stuff. And he's just like, no, I just want to go home.
And says, no, I'm done. And I think, really, honestly, I think that gang would leave him alone after he single-handedly destroyed everybody.
I don't think they have a problem.
And that one guy seemed like a pretty reasonable guy. He seemed like, you know, he was like, oh, okay, yeah, he's not heavy. And it would just be left at that. I think
Korey and I actually came up with a better ending earlier. I think that ghost guy, they set him up from the middle on, just getting ready. He's about to unleash hell. And then when the door opens, it's not the Japanese army, it's just that guy. And then he's like super disappointed.
Yeah.
The guy's like, dude, I'm done. And then he just drops his sword and goes home.
He does the exact pose where he's like holding the sword with his head turned to the side. I'm sure you can hear the music in your head, Brett. I can too.
And then Rama just walks by him, but then flips the switch on the pressure, and it just gets the guy right in the face, like in Three Ninjas.
His one weakness.
All right, I'm done. I mean, I do have 2 final thoughts when you're ready for that.
All right, let's go to final thoughts.
Okay. Well, I've already forgotten one.
That was fast.
That was bad. All right, well, I'll skip it then. Oh, well, no, it was stupid, but...
Say it.
I thought Eka reminded me of Damon Wayans Jr. If you go back and rewatch that again, just look for that. My thing that I was teasing earlier with you, Stevie, that I am curious to know if the people who watched the dub picked up on is, and I said it was kind of jarring. It's a foreign movie. They're speaking foreign languages the whole movie, and then all of a sudden, in their one meeting with the Japanese, they literally just start speaking perfect English. Did anybody catch that? Don't know if you could tell that with the dubbing.
It was perfect English the whole time for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean,
you would only know that if you watch the subbed version.
What?
So you're talking about like when they're in the meeting and they're speaking perfect English?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you would only...
It's really weird because you don't expect it. Like, they don't do it at all.
Yeah, I think
I guess maybe it's the translation between Japanese and Indonesian. Like, it's like a common language. Mm-hmm. But it's just really weird. They don't do it again.
Well, it's like a neutral language, right? Like, it's like showing that they're on even playing field at that point. And like later he speaks Japanese. Like, the only indication you get in the subtitled version, though, is... if you have the closed captions on, it says in parentheses in English.
In English.
Even though the whole thing's in English. Yeah.
Did they allow them to use the real voices?
No, they didn't like change their voices all of a sudden. That would have been fucking crazy.
That would have been amazing.
Oh, so they still dubbed even the English?
Yes.
Oh,
so
that's
it was
bad.
dubbed. Yeah, and like I said, if you didn't have the closed captions on, I don't think you would know at all. There was no other indication of that.
Yeah, to me, Brad, the English-speaking part kind of reminded me of Kill Bill. With I'm now gonna speak like English to like let you know how serious I am, That kind of reminded me of that.
But that's the exact kind of thing that happens in an American movie, right? They announce the reason why.
Yes, exactly. That's a perfect point. Any other final thoughts?
No, I think I got that.
Okay, let's go. Go ahead.
Just Brett gets final thoughts?
No one was answering. Go ahead, Pap.
Well, if Brett's done, my only other final thought is we've talked a lot about video games based on movies and how that, like, the golden age was when we were growing up, Stevie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how sad is it that we're never going to get, like, an amazing Raid and Raid 2 video game? Like, that would just be so fun.
They used to do that. It was, like, pretty common while growing up that they would release a video game coinciding with the film that was being released.
Like, it has the bosses and the sub-bosses built into it. The levels, everything's right there. Like, it would be so much fun.
I mean, they still could. The Warriors, like, beat-em-up game came out in, like, 2007. And that's, like, a 70s movie.
Yeah, it's a little more retro than the Raid, though. Like, it's got a...
Still, a cult following can take things a long way.
If they would make a Raid video game that was incredibly difficult, like that you had to, like, master every single move, I would buy it in a heartbeat. I think that would be a ton of fun. But, Pap, it is kind of sad, though, because I remember Enter the Matrix being released with Matrix Reloaded. And the thing was...
so good. It was better than the movie.
And the thing was, is it didn't make a whole lot of sense if you hadn't seen the movie. Because they were cutscenes directly from Matrix Reloaded they made a video game around.
And if you played as the girl, you got to see her kiss another girl. So you always wanted to play as
It was
her.
amazing as a teenager. Any other final thoughts?
I wanted to make a joke about how the Bat Boy was found in a cave.
Like the Weekly World cover? Yeah.
I like that. I also did love how he died at the end. I mean, just the bat sticking in his head and falling down with him, I thought was a nice little touch.
Dude, after the Hammer Girl dies, I love how he goes full Super Saiyan mode. Like, he just, like, goes fucking crazy swinging that bat after the Hammer Girl gets hammered.
Dude, he's really chopping wood out there.
I love the sign language aspect of it. I know it's quick in only 2 scenes. I thought that was amazing. It showed, like, they had this connection, 2 psychos, but I thought it was awesome.
Is this girl kind of, like, almost Helen Keller-ish, too? She's got, like, one of her eyes messed up, but she's another son.
She probably went to Haniori, too.
Okay. Stevie, do you notice how every fight scene in these Raid movies has a beat that they hit where whoever's winning that particular moment will, like, just beat on the same body part over and over again for a couple seconds? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's very satisfying.
It's extremely satisfying. I love it anytime they do it in this movie. It happened with Mad Dog in the club, where he knocks a dude down and does, like, the Ip Man punch like 30 times into his head, and I love it every second he does it.
The Hammer Girl has a moment where she's just, like, hammering one dude's stomach for a minute. I mean, almost every character has, like, I'm going to focus on this elbow for a minute here.
$6 in my left nut says Gareth Evans shot way more declawing scenes that he could not put in the final film. Like,
jeez, what would have been edited in this movie? What couldn't pass the censors in this movie?
I personally think the jaw ripping scene in the prison was cut, like, early. There was, like, an early cut there. I think there's a cut out there where that dude gets his jaw fully ripped off.
They don't show that part where that pick is going to go through that guy's dome next to his grave. Maybe that was shown more clearly.
Maybe. All right. Let's get into yes or no's. Let's start with Brett.
Okay. I think this is an absolute masterpiece. I think it is a master class in movie making. I think it's Action Movie Hall of Fame. I mean, I put all this stuff in my... I don't think I really need to say that much more. I think this was incredible. I mean, the storyline's a little cliche, but it's if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, old boss changes his ways, gets less aggressive. Younger upstart, usually a family member, oh, what are we doing? We're blah blah blah. You know, but I don't care. It was awesome. I would recommend this to anybody who likes action movies and have never seen it. Awesome. I love the first one, but I think I like this one more because it had a better storyline. Fantastic. Awesome job, Stevie.
Thank you. I'm really glad you like this movie a lot.
Oh, yeah. Heck
This
yeah.
is a movie I want to share with the world, but unfortunately, my wife hates violent movies, and I have a young daughter, and my mom hates violent movies, so I get to share it with you guys. So I just want to say thank you.
Family.
You.
Exactly. Let's go to Pappy.
Yeah, so it was really interesting back-to-backing, because I wasn't on the first Raid podcast, so I watched that, and then the next day I watched the Raid 2. And there aren't really that many examples that I could think of this. Like maybe Alien and Aliens is like the only one that I can think of, but this sequel is so different than the original, and like a completely. The funny thing is like that's why I love the question, like how would you describe this movie? Because the first one is just like this relentless, pedal to the metal, 90-minute, basically like gunplay, assault rifle play, raid, assault on, Precinct 13 or whatever, like type movie. This is more like an epic crime drama with different crime families and people trying to rise to power and politics, but like all within this like hyperbolic, over the top violence with great characters and like so many great set pieces. I'm going to use the masterpiece too. Definite masterpiece word too. Definite hard yes. Liked it way more the second time. It is kind of shitty because I know Stevie is like, yeah, just buy the Blu-ray. A lot of people can't just like drop $25, on a Blu-ray, which sucks because I don't think there's a good way to watch the subtitled version.
Stars.
Apple TV. They have it too.
Wherever you can find it, like go out of your way to watch the subtitle version because the dubbed version really sucks just because of the dubbing. But other than that, extremely hard yes. Great pick, Stevie.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think I actually officially gave it a. Yeah, it was a Vigo rock hard, so I didn't know. That's 100%. So.
Let's go to Korey.
Yes, this is Korey. I'm going to give this movie a yes. What an amazing movie. This movie has more story than the first one, to its benefit. And it has less guns to its benefit, and it has more gimmicks to its benefit. So this movie takes what the first one did and said, what can we do to make it better, right? And even though I would say the first one is still great, I also like the idea of what they did in this one, where they said, okay, now it's going to be more of like a mob story. You got this family, and they're killing off these guys, and this family's involved, and these guys are at a higher level than these guys, and it's all being witnessed and partially participated by our main character, and it's just great. Obviously, the fight scenes are amazing. It looks really good. It's just a spectacle to behold. It's a movie that I don't think that many people outside of wannabe film critics like us know about, which is kind of a shame. I think if I would just ask like a coworker, a guy that likes to, watch your occasional Tarantino movie, have you seen The Raid or heard of it? The answer might be no, and that kind of makes me a little bit sad. But it's a yes for me.
Very cool. Last but not least, lover of violence, Josh.
I will give this kind of like a special yes, because I think it's a special situation when you go into a movie quite cynical like I was, and like I just honestly didn't think another Raid, another just blind violence sequel was going to be like great content for spoilers, right? But I think it's like the 15-minute mark. As soon as we get that first real fight scene and you see how special the fight scenes are in this movie and how many new things they're bringing to that, it's really just worth it. And I lost that cynicism real quick after that point. And just going real quick back to one of Brett's things that he said about bosses, and we've been talking about video games. There's even the scene where they have to go shake down these like porn guys at some point.
Oh yeah.
And even that scene has like a boss, and he's like an old crusty kind of Weasley dude, but even he like pulls off some badass moves and is clearly above his henchmen who like get mowed down pretty quick. But I really just like the Stevie, and I know it was probably like kind of a risk for you picking a sequel and when there's so many movies in the world to pick from, but I think you nailed it, so thanks for bringing this to us.
Yeah, I believe me when I say I wanted to do the Raid 2 like first. I think this movie is just an absolute masterpiece. I think the first one is a masterpiece. I was just thinking to myself, if we can just get through the first one, you know, they'll see what amazing filmmaking is in the Raid 2. And everything is just amped up or stripped away for its benefit, like Korey said. And one thing I love that this movie did that the first one didn't have was the color vibrance. There were much more vibrant colors in this film that really stand out, where the first one, it's very chromy, very gray, very dark. It's kind of hard to tell, you know, what's going on in certain action scenes, and this one just clears it up right away. It does have a 2.5 hour runtime, but sorry, it flies by for me at least. And this movie is extremely violent. If you're squeamish and I wouldn't recommend showing this to mom on Christmas Day. Even if you love films, like I would say, if you love movies, watch this movie. The filmmaking is so brilliant. You're wondering how they pulled off certain shots. Watch the behind the scenes. Listen to the coordinators, the actors, the director, who also wrote and edited this film. Watch all of it. It's just an action masterpiece, like you guys said. I will say this. I've always said that Mad Max Fury Road is what I consider to be the greatest movie of all time, or the greatest action movie of all time. It's also my favorite movie of all time. I think this is tied with it for greatest action movie of all time. It just goes and goes and goes, and I never got bored. Even when it's doing stuff like not fighting, it does it to a degree where you're just like, wow. In that car chase scene, it has more of a story. So I will give this the hardest of yeses, masterpiece.
Hey, I got a quick unanswerable question for you, Stevie.
Mm-hmm.
What was a higher seller? The DVD that had that woman with the strap on, or the obvious bestiality DVDs that they also had? I don't know if you saw that. They had them broken down by like a picture of a woman and a man, picture of a woman and a dog. I mean, I don't know if you guys caught that.
Oh my God, no.
They were making some pretty nasty stuff there.
Do you think they were making the Ola videos from The Counselor?
Oh God. I don't know if they needed to go that far, but maybe. That's a little comic relief. Pappy, you said when she comes out with the dildo on. That's pretty funny.
Stevie.
I was gonna say The Counselor and a Return to Paradise reference in one
Deep
episode.
cuts on this one, boys. Subscribe to our Patreon. Deep cuts only.
How hip are we?
You can only actually listen to our Fury Road podcast on Patreon only.
True.
That is correct. Pappy hosted that one, right?
I think it was me.
I think Josh did.
Josh, you host that one?
I mean, it was me proudly hosting Stevie's favorite movie possibly of all time.
I know, it's always a risk for me. But you guys ready for some trivia? Because we're doing the movie game, and I think the next one's Spooky Spoilers.
Woo!
Spooky Spoilers. Let's go. Okay.
Woo.
This week's game is called Damn Chan Seagal. Where we're going to go around. I'm going to give you a movie title, and you have to tell me who was in that movie. Jean-Claude Van Damme, Jackie Chan, or Steven Seagal.
Oh.
Or? It's always or, not and?
It's always or.
Okay.
What does that rule out one movie?
No, I'm just making
Does
sure.
Does that rule out the Kung Fu Pandas?
I just gotta know
Called
if it's a
out.
select multiple choice or all of the
Pap's
above.
like, but there's Kung Fu Panda 1, 2, and 3.
So who are the people again, Stevie? Jean-Claude.
I'm calling it Dan Chan Seagal. It's Damn Chan Seagal. So it's Jean-Claude Van Damme, Jackie Chan, and Steven Seagal.
There was no rhyming third option, or wasn't?
Well, I almost went that route, but there's a lot of overlap. So
Okay.
Let's do this.
And to the listeners at home, if there is overlap, it's using my discretion. So whatever actor I'm thinking of, we're just going to go with that one because it's getting late. So,
All right, I got this. It's been 9 months. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do this. Order is Josh, Pappy, Brett, Korey. So, Josh, you're up first.
Okay.
First title you're going to get. I'm going to do it in the movie voice. Black Eagle. And it's if you miss, you're out.
Oh my God. I'll go with Steven Seagal.
Josh, you're out. That was Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Not familiar with that title.
Oh God, this is gonna be hard.
Okay, who's up next? Pappy?
All three of those guys got some schlubs.
Okay, yeah, let's go with Pappy.
I sent you the order earlier. That's why you knew it.
I'm going back and forth. Lay off. Okay. Next one. Nowhere to Run.
Damn.
What?
Jean-Claude Van Damme. Damn.
Wow, that's correct. It was a trick question. Good on ya.
How is it a trick?
Why was it a trick question?
Because I went with 2 Jean-Claude Van Dammes in a row.
Oh.
That's not what a trick question is.
Well, if you do it on that kind of test. But anyway.
Nice try.
I tried, dude. I tried.
Try harder.
Okay, Brett. Your next one is The Myth.
That sounds like a Jackie Chan movie if I've ever seen one.
That is Jackie Chan. Good job.
Wow.
Okay, Korey, you ready?
There you go, Brett.
I'm ready.
The Perfect Weapon.
God damn it. I was like, say Rumble in the Bronx. Say Rumble in the Bronx.
Say Rumble in the Bronx.
Well, that's going to be Dam or Seagal, so I'm going to say Seagal.
Correct. That is Steven Seagal. Good job.
Wow.
Nice.
Pappy? Your next one is The Spy Next Door.
I don't know. Chan.
That is Chan. Good job.
There you go.
Sounded wholesome.
It sounded wholesome. Okay. Brett, you ready?
Yep.
Your next one is Sudden Death.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
One of my favorite movies. It is Jean-Claude Van Damme.
I know.
Future spoilers pick?
Oh, for sure. Everybody should see Sudden Death if you're a film lover.
Oh, God.
Okay.
You're going to do Van Damme movies?
Hey, lay off Van Damme, all right? He was good in his day before the cocaine. Okay. Your next one is, Korey. All right, hold on. Half Past Dead.
Let me see. That's not Rumble in the Bronx. Should I go with Van Damme or Seagal? Let's see. Seagal?
It is Seagal. Good job.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
What the heck?
I know. These guys are getting it.
wow.
Let's go. Okay.
Sounds like an obscure Seagal movie I've never seen, and I guess it is.
I know. All right, Pappy, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go with The Glimmer Man.
What?
We talked about the fucking Glimmer Man
Yes.
because it has the Wayans brother in it and Steven Seagal.
It is Steven Seagal.
It is Steven Seagal. I brought it out. I saw it when I was a kid.
Yeah, I googled it and like I want to watch this movie really badly.
It's way too scary of a movie for me to be watching at like 10, but oh well.
Thank you, Brett.
You're welcome.
All right, Brett, you ready?
Yep.
Your next one is Monaco Forever.
Oh. Jackie Chan?
Brett, I am sorry. That was Jean-Claude Van Damme who played Gay Karate Man.
No.
Yeah, it's in the list. Gay Karate Man.
Oh, that's not a starring movie.
No, but it's in a movie he was in. Okay. See, that would be Pap. You're Korey's next?
Korey.
All right, Korey.
For the win.
For the win. Shanghai Noon.
Oh, jeez.
Get the fuck out of here.
He gets a freaking blockbuster. I get one where Jean-Claude Van Damme's an extra.
If I don't get Shanghai Nights, I fucking riot.
I hope these are being pulled at random, because
It was pulled at random.
That's
I was
just good
laughed when
luck.
it landed on it.
Do I even need to answer?
Owen Wilson.
Oh, wow.
Uno
That's-
smash?
Jackie Chan,
That is Jackie Chan.
I believe he was in that one.
I get gay karate guy and he gets freaking blockbuster.
I'm so sorry. It just landed on it.
It's all right. It's fun. It's actually funny.
Okay. Pap, you ready?
Yes.
Good movies.
Oh, my God. All right. Oh, this is... Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, Pap. We're going to pick this for spoilers. This is funny. Your next one is... Legionnaire.
I know it.
Van Damme.
It is Van Damme. Good job.
I was hoping for that one.
All right. Korey, you ready?
Yep.
Your next one is... Out for Justice.
The inhale is killing me. That's so funny.
See, the obscure Jackie Chan titles I'd probably know, but when it comes to the other two, and this is
I
one
know.
of the other
It's
two.
a coin flip. I know.
Say it one more time.
Out for Justice.
What's happening, man?
Seagal?
Seagal.
That is Steven Seagal. Good job.
Wow. How many of these you got?
Oh, I got plenty, dude. It's just getting hilarious at this point.
They each got, 50 credits?
Yeah, he's still got that Van Damme movie where he's Random Man 2.
Yeah, random bicycler.
All right,
Predator
you ready?
uncredited.
Mm-hmm.
Your next one is Pound of Flesh.
Steven Seagal.
And your winner!
Oh, no.
It was Jean-Claude Van Damme. I am so excited. Korey, you've been on the Schneid for how long?
I think I did. We recorded Hedwig, I think, in January, and
You've never done spooky spoiler, have you?
it's the best spooky spoiler this podcast has ever seen.
The longest.
We did the mini series of it?
Yeah, a year ago.
Oh, yeah. That was when I said they should have been doing Rock Lobster in the cave fight.
That was like a 3-hour podcast.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, do you want me to give you some time, or do you know what you want to spoil right away?
Give him time. Toss it to Spoiler Man.
All right,
Toss
let's
it.
give him some time. Give him some time. This is exciting news. Take it away, spoilers, man.
Special thank you to our patrons. Matt Troll.
I can exist in this world with no set of rules to follow.
Brother Brian.
If he pulled a trigger on his own father, he won't hesitate to come for us.
Druid King.
All right, how about this? He is also a major benefactor.
Nick.
We're a small division, but we're small for a reason.
The Meg.
The respect is mutual.
David.
Now take your clothes off.
Nurse Stacy.
It's wise for you to remember your place.
Brother Ellis.
I'm done.
If you'd like to request an episode, hear your name read by Spoiler Man, or even just help us make podcasts, please check us out on patreon.com/spoilerspodcast. Our email is podcastspoilers@gmail.com. Twitter is @spoilers_pod. Our Instagram is podcast spoilers. It's lit. Josh Hensley from the Rutabaga wrote our theme song. Please support this podcast by leaving us an iTunes review. To do this, 1. Search for movie spoilers. 2. Click on our orange Spoilers Bowl logo and scroll all the way to the bottom. 3. Leave us some stars and some words. Now you can check us out on Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Spoilers is now available on Audible.
And we're back. Okay. Korey, you've won this week. What are you picking for spooky spoilers?
I'm picking Pappy. That's my pick.
Oh, I love that movie.
It's Pappy.
I'm going to defer to Pappy. I'm going to let him take care of the next one. I got a few things going on, so he's going to be our next host. So over to you, man.
The creator of Spooky Spoilers. This is exciting.
In exchange, I will give Korey my next win. But I'm all out of Evil Dead movies, which made me really sad.
No, there's the remake.
The TV series.
Good.
I'm not picking those, though. I want to pick... We used to have an early lead. A director like jumped out to a very early lead. Then he fell like way back behind Sam Raimi. We first spoiled one of his movies a long time ago in 2016, and we hated it. A Cure for Wellness. Oh, and then we spoiled Rango. Yeah, I want to pick another Gore Verbinski movie.
Mouse
but
Hunt?
This is we'll do that someday. But this is 2002's The Ring. Starring Naomi Watts.
I will not be on that podcast, so.
The Ring. Gore Verbinski's back. Future king of spoilers.
Go. Enjoy.
Wait,
that
what?
Is you after The Ring?
What's Brett saying in the background there?
He refuses to be on The Ring because it haunted him.
Why? Just don't watch it on VHS and you're fine.
It's not scary.
Is it because she does a crab crawl?
I don't know.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's probably because of the crab crawl. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's exciting news. Also, this Christmas, we will be spoiling Mouse Hunt. Those who are waiting, I know, anxiously. Believe me, we will hop on that classic this Christmas.
Gore Verbinski.
Gore Verbinski. But
what about Rat Race?
No, I'm telling you, Mouse Hunt, believe me, it's a legitimate classic, I promise.
The Lone Ranger?
Yeah, I know. He's kind of fallen on hard times lately.
This is the tale. Captain Jack Sparrow.
But I just want to say thank you for listening to this episode. I know it ran a little long, but this is a long movie that really deserves all the praise that it got. If you haven't, check out our Patreon. No pressure, but we do have some exciting content on our Patreon only. If you just want to keep listening for free, by all means, please do. We love any listen. Any listen's a great listen. And check us out during Spooky Spoilers. That's going to be such a fun time. Cannot wait. Pappy's back. Gore's back with The Ring. Brett is going to be on it no matter what he says in this episode. That was Spoilers.
Brett.
Okay, who wants to trade?
What?
Dude, I got so much editing I'm doing.
Oh, well, it's gonna have to go to Pappy.
I think I'll trade with you.
Yeah, I got the benefit of your trade last time. You should
Will you give me your next win, Pappy?
Yes.
Yeah, so it has to go to Pap. Okay.
Fair.
Do you want me to kick it to you, Korey, or do you want me to kick it to Pappy? Actually, I'll kick it to Korey first, and then you kick it to Pappy.
Hold on. Give me a second.
He explains it.
Just give me like 1 second so I don't
All right,
make
let's
a
come
bad
back.
pick. Or don't give me a second.
The garbage man.
I'm waiting.
Up to you. Okay. Yep.
That was Spoilers.